Hi, gang, it's Adam.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we head to the Haunted Mansion to celebrate Disney Legends in our feature segment on the DL. As always, we cover the latest Disney news and close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick Bruiser Kazaki.
Bruiser, I like it. Adam, early voter Hummel.
I am an early voter, and I imagine you are too.
I voted yesterday, in fact.
I'm so proud of you, Patrick.
Listen, that drive-up voting system they have going on right now, use it. It's perfect.
We are very, very lucky in Minnesota that we have such excellent access to early voting. Some people in other states have a much more difficult time early voting or voting at all.
They do indeed. It is a travesty, which is why it is so important to vote this year. Everybody in the United States who is eligible, please have a voting plan.
Have a plan. Make a plan.
Plan V.
Plan V. Oh.
Listen, I'm here for it.
That could mean something else. I'm picturing straight guys going out on a Friday night, you know?
Whatever you need it to mean, as long as you vote, it's fine with me.
And I agree.
Thank you so much. How are you, sir?
I'm doing quite well, Patrick. It was a very, very busy week. I gotta say, I was all over the place with work and life. But you know what? I thought, let me just take 90 minutes or so and sit down with my friend Patrick Kazaki and record a podcast.
It's never taken us only 90 minutes to record a podcast, but I appreciate, Adam, your enthusiasm to getting this done.
Thank you so much. How are you doing?
I am well. You know, I'm playing that game now of, am I waking up with allergies or a deeper concern?
We've all played that game, and I have to say, maybe multiple times during the course of COVID.
Oh, yeah. Minnesota specifically is a very allergen non-friendly. Is that a way of saying it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Those fall allergies, I'm telling you, once the leaves get kind of dry and crispy, you're like, all bets are off.
Yeah. It's beautiful outside, but my insides are a mess. I've been taking my temperature every day just to make sure. So here we go. It's a roll of the dice every morning.
Have you been taking it rectally?
I take it anywhere I can take it. You know what I mean? I'll just take it all over the place.
Are we still talking about taking your temperature?
Who knows? Who knows anymore? Under the arms, in the mouth. You know what I'm saying?
I guess. I mean, I've never done an underarm temperature check, but I guess I'm going to start.
Fun fact, underneath your arm is almost the same temperature as inside of your mouth.
I don't know how to respond to that.
I'm just dropping knowledge today, Adam. Just dropping knowledge for all of our Tweedledees.
I like it. Let's learn something today.
Well, that is such a good segue, Adam, because this week is Spirit Day on October 15th, a very important day that we should all recognize.
Absolutely. It's when the ghosts rise from their graves and enter our bodies through either the mouth or the armpit. Isn't that how it goes?
Nope. This is a very different day. You're thinking of Halloween or All Hallows Eve. I'm talking about Spirit Day, where each year on Spirit Day, millions of people wear purple in support of our LGBTQ plus youth. A little history or information of why Spirit Day came to be. So LGBTQ plus youth are disproportionately facing bullying and harassment in their lives. And a couple of interesting facts that you should know. 70% of LGBTQ plus students report being verbally harassed each year. 70%. 48% have experienced harassment via cyberbullying, which is very important these days when we are all quarantining. So it's still happening even though they're not with their peers. 29% of LGBTQ plus have experienced homelessness or have been kicked out or have run away due to their identities. And this is a really jarring fact. 86% of LGBTQ plus youth have said that recent politics have negatively impacted their well-being. So these are very important things to keep in mind when you're thinking about supporting all of the LGBTQ plus community, but specifically the youth. They don't have as much of a voice as we have, so it's our job to be a voice for them.
That's right. We've made such strides forward in the LGBTQ plus community, but the bullying is still happening and it is still affecting the kids.
Absolutely. It affects specifically the youth much more than it does adults, though we experience it as well, I must say. So how can you help, Tweedledees? Go over to glad.org. That's GLAAD.org, where you can download some resources to learn more about how you can help. You can take an online pledge. You can learn how to spread the word about Spirit Day. And then, of course, on October 15th, wear purple. Take a little selfie wearing some purple. Tag us in it. Send a message of love and support. And you can also donate at glad.org to homeless youth organizations and any organization really that is helping decrease the bullying and harassment of our LGBTQ plus youth in the United States and all over the world.
Support the kids, make a difference, wear purple. And why wouldn't you wear purple? It's flattering on everyone.
It's my favorite color, in fact.
I knew that about you.
So wear purple, everybody, and send us those photos. We want to see your support.
Yes, please.
Well, speaking of support, Adam, I am on point with my segues today. I'll tell you what.
Did you get a full night's sleep?
I never do, but I've had a full pot of coffee.
All right, so night terrors and a full pot of coffee produce the Patrick you are hearing right now.
Exactly. So we have another Patreon member to welcome to our family. I love when we get to report this.
I love when someone decides to join the fam.
Absolutely. Bart is our newest member of the Patreon family. Bart, thank you so much for your support.
Bart, we have a couple of Barts now.
We have not one, but two Barts in our Patreon family.
You know what they say about two Barts?
They're good partners?
Yep, that's what they say.
Did I steal your joke, or did I just make a better one than you were going to make?
I really had no plan going into that, so I'm glad that you were there to volley that back.
Yes, and... Well, thank you, Bart, for your partnership to Gays Do the D.
Oh, my, Patrick.
That coffee, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a real mess when I crash.
I hope Dan's home to hold you.
It's going to be the dogs. The dogs lift me up in support. Adam, I'm going to volley something over to you because you rarely get to talk about it. Can you tell the Tweedledees at home all about our Patreon page?
This is such a test, everyone. He is testing me.
100%.
Hey, everybody. If you're curious about becoming a patron of Gays Do the D, you can head on over to our website, gaysdothed.com, and click on that donate button, and that will take you to really several options. Several levels, right, Patrick? Several levels.
There's a reason I do this every week, apparently.
No, I'm killing it. There's several levels and like options, and they're really cutely named. Like when you click on them, you'll be like, "Oh, that's a cute name. They really thought this through."
You are killing it. You are killing any chance we have of getting any new Patreon members.
No, I want 4 more Barts by the end of the week. 4 more Barts. So head on over to gaysdothed.com, click on that donate button. Whereas for little as $1 recurring a month, right?
Boy.
$1 recurring a month.
That's one way you can say it.
You can have access to so many things, including Patreon-only giveaways, right, Patrick? We do Patreon-only giveaways.
We do indeed.
And we do special episodes, Patreon-only episodes, called Gays Do the D, Raw and Uncut.
Raw and uncut.
Wow, this is a real flipsies sitch.
I know my brain isn't handling it very well.
So you get some episodes, and they come directly to your feed. It's amazing. I don't know how it works, but it's one of God's miracles.
Or Patrick just clicks a button that says send.
Okay, Patrick does that. And so I think I've covered pretty much everything except to say thank you to all of our patrons, because without you, we would not be who we are today, which are very successful, widely acclaimed podcasters and moguls.
Wow. Wowee. It occurs to me, Adam, I feel like we probably have a Patreon-only giveaway coming up pretty soon, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do we? Sure.
I believe we need to do a Halloween Patreon-only giveaway, maybe next week on the podcast.
I want all of our Tweedles to know we haven't even talked about that before recording this episode. I am getting this news while you're getting this news, and I'm all for it.
It's a fresh hot take only for our Patreon members. So if you want to get in on that action, folks, get over there. Get over to Patreon and donate. And we will use that money to buy more coffee for Patrick.
More coffee for Patrick, and who knows, the giveaway could be what? A garbage bag full of candy corn.
That's exactly where candy corn belongs, in a garbage bag.
I like it.
My point is made.
So any hoozles, Patrick, moving on.
Any hoozles.
Any hoozles. I have to tell you, you texted me last week and you said, hey, cool guy.
Mm-hmm. This tracks. Yep.
That's what Patrick calls me, cool guy.
Yep.
You said, hey, cool guy, did you know that Disney has released a Halloween playlist that can be found on Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, what have you, where have you?
I did say what have you, where have you.
And I was like, oddly enough, I did know that. I also just downloaded it. And guess what? It put me in the mood.
Isn't it fantastic?
I really enjoy it. And it includes so many songs I had never heard before.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. A lot of Descendants songs, I believe, and some songs from old Halloween Disney Channel movies from the days of yore.
A lot of Dove Cameron singing. Did you know Dove Cameron is a person, Patrick?
It did not strike me that someone would name their kid Dove Cameron until today. Is this a child of Kirk Cameron?
Oh, heavens no.
Okay, good.
I know. We don't want that.
Phew. That talk about Halloween. You know what I mean?
But we just wanted to give all our Tweedles a heads up. If you have not yet heard the Disney Halloween playlist, go check it out. And as I said, it's on Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora. You'll find it.
Check it out. It is going to get you in the mood for Halloween. And maybe for some lovin'. Who can say?
Spooky lovin'.
Spooky lovin'. Speaking of lovin', Adam, we have some love from our Tweedledees in the form of feedback from last week's episode, where you and I got a little buzzed by taking some BuzzFeed quizzes.
We certainly did. And wasn't that fun? I enjoyed that episode.
It was. It was just a one-off sort of a situation where we just had some fun. We let our hair down and we had some fun.
We may do it again. I don't know.
Who can say? I do like getting buzzed, that's for sure.
Me too.
So we did get some feedback in the form of people sent us who they got on some of the quizzes that we took. So the first one we're going to talk about is, who's your Disney mom? Based on the Disney ladies you give these superlatives to. And Vigelli, who is a new listener, isn't that correct, Adam?
That's right.
Vigelli said that he got Helen Parr, a.k.a. Mrs. Incredible. What a great mom.
What a great mom, but she would be on to you in a second. She knows what's going on in her home.
Yeah, she can slap you across the table, that's for sure.
She can slap you across the country. She's Mrs. Incredible.
This is true. This is true. I should have said you can find Vigelli. I'm so bad at this, Adam. At Vigelli25 on Instagram.
That's where he's at.
Rob on Instagram at zippity-doo-dah-days also got Mrs. Incredible. So they are brothers, apparently.
Brothers from the same mother.
Brothers from the same stretchy mother. And then Daniel on Instagram at DankoDirect got Chicha from The Emperor's New Groove.
That's also a great mom.
Great mother, great movie, fantastic.
Vigelli and Daniel also sent in their results from the Brainfall.com quiz. Which Disney ride are you? Vigelli got Splash Mountain.
Uh-oh, problematic.
He's actually working on the retheme.
Got it. Fair enough. Fair enough.
He instigated it. And Daniel got, oh, I'm so jealous. Daniel got the Haunted Mansion.
Spooky.
Spooky, ooky, and kooky.
And classic.
Tis, yes.
Tis classic. And last but not least, Vigelli and Rob wrote in for Because You Love D. You know what I mean by D? Here's the Disney prince who'd fulfill your lovin' needs. I'm trying to do you a favor so you don't have to edit too much, Adam.
You really softened that.
I walked right around it. I danced right around it. It occurs to me that Rob skipped all of the other quizzes and went right to this one.
Well, let's get real here, Patrick, for a moment, because did you know that the Which Fries Are You Deep in Your Soul based on your Disney choices or whatever, that quiz actually disappeared the day after we took it.
Oh, no. What a bummer.
BuzzFeed is onto us.
It's probably because it's been sitting there for so long. They were like, someone just took this quiz. I thought we dropped that long ago. We triggered something in their memory and they just took it right away.
I told Dana to delete that quiz.
Dana, what are you doing?
So some people had issues finding some of the quizzes. I apologize for that. What was I even thinking, not linking to them? But you know what? Too late.
We're the worst. We're absolutely the worst. But who's not the worst are the two princes that Vigelli and Rob got. So Vigelli got Flynn Rider, you lucky SOB, and Rob got Li Shang. Well done, both of you.
Rob was very excited he got Li Shang.
I mean, who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be? I'd Li Shang him all night long.
It's a verb now.
Mm-hmm. You got shanged.
Sexy.
Thank you so much.
Do you know what else is sexy?
Me?
Yes, you're very sexy, Patrick, but also very sexy. Disney history is so sexy.
So sexy. It is time once again, Tweedledees, for this week in Disney history. And I have some doozies to talk to you about, Adam.
Well, do's as you please.
Oh boy, work on that one. We'll start with the youngest one, which is very appropriate for our episode today. 33 years ago, on October 13th, 1987, actor Fred MacMurray is inducted as the very first Disney legend. And here's a fun fact. At the awards, he arrived in a 1915 Model T Ford, much like the one he made fly in The Absent-Minded Professor.
Fred MacMurray clearly knew his audience, and he was delivering for them.
Fred MacMurray, I love that man. He was, I suppose I should say, a true talent. Another fun fact about Disney legends: to this date, 289 people have been named a Disney legend.
And the list just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Moving on, 94 years ago, on October 14th, 1926, Methuen and Company in London published the very first book featuring Winnie the Pooh of the same name by author A.A. Milne. Now, it strikes me, Adam, that we've been talking about Winnie the Pooh a lot in Disney history, but apparently it all sort of happened within the same time frame because we haven't been doing this for very long.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, I was worried. There were a couple of weeks there where we didn't talk about Winnie the Pooh during Disney history. So it feels like coming home to be talking about Winnie the Pooh in Disney history once again.
That's right. I'm bringing Pooh back to the podcast. This also needs to be a movie. How has the history of how Winnie the Pooh came to be not a movie yet? It needs to be on Disney Plus immediately.
Yeah, it could be a multi-part series. Let's do that.
Starring me as Piglet.
So cute.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Moving on to our last item in This Week in Disney History. 97 years ago, on October 16th, 1923, a day after Walt and Roy Disney signed a contract with M.J. Winkler to produce 6 short films called the Alice Comedies, they founded the Disney Brothers Studio. At the time, they were working out of the back room of a realty office, and 4 months later, just 4 months later, they took over the entire first floor of the building next door. So the Disney Brothers Studio would later, of course, be called the Walt Disney Studio, then Walt Disney Productions, and finally, the Walt Disney Company in 1986.
And it all began in the back of a realty office.
It all began in a realty office with Alice from Alice in Wonderland.
Wow.
You seem very nonplussed by this news, Adam.
No, it is a foundational moment for everything that we know and love today.
Absolutely. And we're coming up very shortly on the 100th anniversary of the Walt Disney Company.
And you were there at that ribbon cutting.
I was there. I was the woman in a short dress with large scissors. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. Mitzi. You're talking about Mitzi.
Mitzi in a kitten heel and large shears.
You know, she could be a Disney legend.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's write some letters, everybody. And that, my friends, is This Week in Disney History.
Thank you, Patrick. And now's the time I tell you that we have some magic mail to open.
What?
That's right. We received a very large box from our friend Chris from Wishful Thinking.
Chris, we missed you. Thank you so much in advance. I guess I haven't seen the gift yet, so I'll hold off on officially thanking you.
It is a human head.
Well, then I do thank you.
Yes, that's right. Chris, who has been on the podcast several times now, sent us a very large box, Patrick. Would you like me to open it? I have not opened it yet.
I would be delighted for you to open that box.
He very thoughtfully bubble wrapped it.
Does that mean it's breakable?
Could be, just like my spirit.
So fragile.
I opened it upside down. Holy buckets. Okay, there's a lot going on here. And Patrick, there's things that are individually addressed to us. How do you want me to handle this?
Are any of them nudes?
Could be. There's a couple of cards, but one is to Patrick and one is to Adam. Do you want me to open them both right now? Or would you prefer to open your own on your own time?
Open them both, Adam. Open them both. The kids want to know.
All right. I'm opening your card first. I'm going to read it to you.
What if it says, like, Don't tell Adam, but you're my favorite one.
It could very well say that.
What a risk we're taking.
The cover of the card says thanks.
Oh, for what?
And the inside says, Patrick, to thank you for introducing me to your listeners. I think you deserve some yummy balls in your mouth. Chris.
Uh-oh. This got awkward very quickly, but I'm here for it.
My card also says, thanks. And the inside says, Adam, to thank you for introducing me to your listeners. I think you deserve to be the new King Candy. Just don't go turbo, Chris.
You get to be a king and I get balls in my mouth? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. And I mean me. I'm the winner.
I have a lot of sway as a king, Patrick.
That's fair.
All right. Chris sent us both these incredible Halloween tote bags. Patrick, you probably can't see it because my Zoom... Here.
Oh, cute.
Super cute Halloween totes. He also sent us a bag full of Disney treats.
Oh, dear. Oh, no.
And I see some goofy sour balls in there.
Oh, I love those sour balls.
And now there's boxes.
I have a feeling Adam's going to deliver my tote and there won't be a piece of candy in it.
Patrick, may I reach inside your box?
I would be honored if you would do that.
Consent is key. This is how every holiday should be. I should be able to open everyone's presents.
Yes, you're like the big sister to a new baby in the house where you have to open all the presents.
Oh, Patrick, you're going to love this. Chris sent you the ABC Disney mug with the letter P on it for Peter Pan.
I have had my eye on that one. Chris, you know me so well.
Technically, the P could also stand for Penny, my dog, so I'm keeping it.
Fair. That's fair. I mean, when you're right, you're right.
And next, we're heading into my box.
And Adam got a Rolex Disney watch.
Oh my gosh, an annual pass. Chris.
It does start with A.
No, Chris also sent me the adorable ABC Disney Adventureland mug, which has an A for Adam.
Oh, cute. It's got a little tiki theme to it, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Chris, this was so generous of you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, this is beyond generous. This is more than we deserve. We don't deserve anything. So thank you so much.
Yeah, let's bash ourselves. We're trash.
We are. We're garbage people. We don't deserve gifts. But if you want to send them, Adam, give them the address.
No, thank you, Chris. Everyone, you can find Chris online at wishful-thinking.com. And you can find him on Instagram at wishful_thinking with no I's. That's wishful_THNKNG. Chris is an authorized Disney travel planner, and he is fee-free. Isn't that right, Patrick?
Absolutely. It costs you nothing to use his services. You will pay the exact same price tag you would have paid had you planned your own trip. But this way, he will do all the work for you.
And he may be able to, get you some special deals.
Who can say? Who can say, Adam? I guess Chris can say.
Chris can say. So please contact him if you are planning a trip to Disney World, Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, Disneyland Paris. He is the guy who can hook you up.
Captain Hook You Up. Well, again, Chris, thank you so much for that merch. And speaking of merch, Adam, we're going to do one more push to purchase your Gays Do the D merch and have all of the money from that purchase go to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
That's right. Through the end of this month, all the proceeds that we receive from our merch store at gaysdothed.com will go directly to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And Patrick, you have a very special connection to that foundation, do you not?
Yes, my niece Bailey does have cystic fibrosis. She was diagnosed pretty shortly after she was born. It is a life-threatening disease, to be very clear, but it is one that is very curable. In fact, scientists and doctors believe that we are right around the corner from finding a cure for cystic fibrosis. So now more than ever, every dollar is so, so important. So thank you in advance for your help in going over and purchasing a t-shirt, a mug, a tote, a pillow even, Adam, at the Gays Do the D merch shop, where, like you said, all of the proceeds that we receive from that purchase will be donated directly to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
And on top of that, there's a sale coming up this week, October 14th through the 17th. Site-wide, everything will be 35% off.
Such a great deal. So as you said, Adam, now through the end of October, make those purchases and the money will go to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And then starting in November, Adam, we'll have a new charity to announce. Very exciting.
So exciting.
Well, thank you in advance, everybody. And bye. The holidays are around the corner, so now's the time to get that merch.
That's right. Bye.
Oh, thank you so much for including NSYNC in that.
I include NSYNC in everything I do.
I know that about you. In fact, you're wearing a Justin Timberlake t-shirt right now.
I never take it off.
Good.
Anyway, Dirty Pop.
That came far too easily to your head.
The soundtrack of my life, Patrick. Before we head into the news, we need to mention that we have established a cast member support tab on gaysdothed.com. There are a number of organizations listed that will allow you to help cast members who have recently been laid off in both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. And Patrick, we added some new organizations this week. There's a couple of Facebook groups that have been established that are helping cast members in need.
Fantastic. And there are so many cast members in need right now, and soon to be more, unfortunately. So now is the time to support all of those people who have supported your vacations in the past.
That's right. Return the favor and make a little magic for them right now.
Well, speaking of magic, Adam, why don't you fill up both of those new mugs that we got with some whiskey and some coffee, slam them both, and we'll head on into the news.
It's the only way I can do the news.
It's the only way I can do this podcast. There is still no word yet on when Disneyland and other California theme parks will be able to open as negotiations continue to change and evolve. Dr. Mark Ghali, California's Secretary of Health and Human Services, did, however, mention in a press conference earlier last week that a new health metric would be introduced as part of the state's blueprint for a safer economy. One thing we do know is that the Orange County Healthcare Agency has recommended that Disneyland open at 25% capacity once they are given the all clear. The agency recently paid a visit to Disneyland, California Adventure, and Downtown Disney to observe health and safety protocols. Based on recommendations from the tour, Disney will be implementing a few new protocols, like adding Spanish language signs with health and safety information, which, side note, I'm not sure why that wasn't in place already. They are also placing social distancing markers outside their restrooms, and they are adding even more hand sanitizing stations at the attractions. With these newly implemented standards, the Orange County Health Agency has given their approval for the Disney parks to reopen once Governor Newsom gives the okay. Meanwhile, on the other side of the country, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has lifted COVID-19 restrictions and has cleared the way for the Miami Dolphins to host 65,000 fans at their Hard Rock Stadium. However, the Dolphins have indicated they will continue with their reduced capacity of 13,000 fans in the stadium. No official word on whether or not this means that Florida theme parks are allowed to run at full capacity, but Disney World has said they will continue with their limited capacity as part of their phased reopening. Adam, talk about a mouse tale of two cities.
Patrick, if anyone has accused you of not being a poet, they would be wrong.
Fair. Thank you so much. I like that.
Yes, what a difference. California being super careful, almost to the detriment, or maybe to the detriment of Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. And DeSantis over in Florida is like, just have at it, go crazy.
Literally go crazy. It's absurdity in Florida right now. I apologize to all of our Tweedledees who are living in Florida, but that's one man's opinion.
Well, thank goodness we're not seeing this lax leadership nationally, right, Patrick?
Oh boy. Thank goodness, Adam.
Well, hopefully Disneyland will get the all clear very soon, right?
Sure, but with that hopefully comes hopefully that cases are going way down or will go way down to the extent at which it's no longer a problem. But I in my own opinion, I think we're still very far away from that happening.
It's tough, isn't it? You want people to be safe, but you also want local economies like the Anaheim economy to be able to thrive. It's a very difficult situation. And right now, we're just not seeing the leadership we need to kind of manage both the pandemic and economic factors.
Right. I can't imagine that Governor Newsom has enjoyed doing this. I mean, nobody wants to lay off thousands and thousands of people. It's terrible. It's detrimental to the country. But on the other hand, you have Governor DeSantis, who just clearly does not give a flying mouse.
He doesn't give a flying mouse. I guess it's just up to you and I, Patrick, to figure out this whole mess.
Gaze to the D will solve it. We are on our way to the rescue. And by on our way, I mean via Zoom.
Patrick, we're all getting a lump of soul in our stockings this Christmas.
I see what you did there.
As a result of the ongoing pandemic, last week Disney announced it will be releasing Pixar's Soul to Disney Plus on December 25th. The film was last scheduled to open domestically on November 20th. According to an October 8th Deadline article, Disney will not charge its streaming subscribers an extra $29.99 to see Soul, as it did with Mulan. Rather, the movie will simply become available on the service to its 60 million subscribers on Christmas Day. Soul will still get a theatrical release in those foreign territories where Disney Plus isn't available. In a statement released by Disney, Director of Soul and Chief Creative Officer of Pixar Animation Studios, Pete Docter, said, quote, "The world can be an exhausting and frustrating place, but it's also full of unexpected joys, even in seemingly mundane things. Soul investigates what's really important in our lives, a question we're all asking these days. I hope it will bring some humor and fun to people at a time when everyone can surely use that," end quote. So, Patrick, we're all getting Soul for free for the holidays.
It is the first time I would have a Soul in my house.
As your friend and as someone who has been to your house on multiple occasions, yes, there will be Soul in your house finally.
Finally. No, this is a great idea. I think it's going to be needed for people who aren't able to see their families on Christmas. They have something to do now.
Patrick, what's the first thing you're going to do when you wake up on Christmas morning? Are you going to run to the presents under the tree, or are you going to flip on Disney Plus and watch Soul?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is have a shot of whiskey and cry for an hour. And then, Adam, I'm going to run to Disney Plus to watch Soul. How about you?
Not to outdo you, but I'm actually getting up at midnight to watch Soul.
Perhaps, Adam, we need to do a Patreon member group watch of Soul.
On Christmas Day?
I mean, I'm not doing anything else. New details about the plot of the highly anticipated and highly secretive upcoming movie Cruella have been released, Adam. The plot reads, teenaged Estella has a dream. Adam, she has a dream. She wishes to become a fashion designer, having been gifted with talent, innovation, and ambition in equal measures. But life seems intent on making sure her dreams never come true. Having wound up penniless and orphaned in London at 12, 4 years later, Estella runs wild through the city streets with her best friends and partners in petty crime, Horace and Jasper, two amateur thieves. When a chance encounter vaults Estella into the world of the young, rich, and famous, however, she begins to question the existence she's built for herself in London and wonders whether she might indeed be destined for more after all. When an up-and-coming rock star commissions Estella to design him a signature piece, she begins to feel as though she has truly arrived. But what is the cost of keeping up with the fast crowd, and is it a price Estella is willing to pay? This seems like your life story, Adam.
I was going to say, pay up, Disney. I did not give you the rights to my life story.
Adam Estella Hummel. So the movie will be set in 1970s London. I'm very excited about this vibe for the movie.
I don't know, Patrick. I feel completely medium about this movie. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I think you're wrong, but it does make sense. So apparently the movie finished filming before the COVID-19 pandemic shut down Hollywood, so it is on schedule to be released in May 2021. So far, no additional images have been released, and there is still some confusion around casting. However, what we do know is that Emma Stone will be playing Cruella, or Estella, apparently. Paul Walter Hauser and Joel Fry will play Jasper and Horace, respectively. Emma Thompson will play the Baroness, and Mark Strong will play the Baron. Emily Beachman is officially listed in the cast, and rumors indicate she will play Anita. And Killing Eve's Kirby Howell-Baptiste is also listed in the cast, but with no character name confirmed. And rumors are flying, Adam, that Dev Patel will play Roger. However, he is not listed on the IMDb page, and he does not have a credit for this movie on his IMDb page. So who can say? Lastly, rounding out the production staff, what we do know is Glenn Close, who played Cruella in the OG live-action 101 Dalmatians and 102 Dalmatians, is a producer on the film, and I, Tonya director Craig Gillespie is the director. So we'll be sure to report back on Cruella once further details have been spotted. Hey-o.
I liked that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Disney is developing yet another movie based on one of its classic attractions, and this one promises to be quite a roller coaster of a ride.
Oh boy. Oh boy. It's a good one, Adam.
One of my favorite things to do, Tweedles, is to read these opening lines and then just stare at Patrick and zoom for a reaction.
It was a full 5 minutes before I gave him what he wanted.
According to an October 9 The Hollywood Reporter exclusive, a Space Mountain movie is in the works, with the studio hiring Joby Harold, who has worked on a range of movies from Zack Snyder's upcoming Army of the Dead to Warner's King Arthur Legend of the Sword, to write the script. Details are scarce, but the live-action adaptation is described as a family adventure intended for theatrical release. We've heard that one before.
Am I right?
Harold is currently writing and executive producing the Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars series for Disney+. Ride Back, the banner behind Disney's billion-dollar grossing live-action adaptation of Aladdin, will be co-producing. As we previously reported, Ride Back is also producing the live-action Haunted Mansion movie currently being developed by Disney. Well, there you have it, Patrick. Yet another attraction coming to the silver screen.
Yeah. Another one.
Did we just swapsies on this? Whereas I was not as excited for Cruella, you are less than excited for Space Mountain, the movie?
I have learned to reserve my excitement for movies based off of attractions.
Yes.
But that being said, I do think it is a smart idea. I mean, look at Pirates of the Caribbean. It made $1 billion for the franchise, and it just elevated the popularity of the ride in both parks. So if they do their job correctly, this should be a win for Disney. But it's a tough sell, I think.
It is a tough sell. You're absolutely right about that. In particular, because what's the story, right? Like, Pirates of the Caribbean has kind of like a ride-through experience story, whereas Space Mountain is just a coaster and there's stars projected.
Yeah, exactly. There's not much to tell there. I mean, Haunted Mansion, there's a story already there, and that's an easy sell. Then Space Mountain is just a that goes to space. I don't know. What are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? What are they going to do, Adam? I don't know. Who can say?
I so want you to tell me. I just want you to lay it all out for me. The plot, the characters, who's going to be cast, Space Mountain, the movie. It's a musical now.
It's a musical roller coaster ride through space. There's a mountain. They discover a mountain actually floating in space.
Sure.
You know, those space mountains are rampant these days in space.
I blame COVID.
As with all things.
Patrick.
Adam.
It's that time of year.
What time of year is that, Adam?
For drawing out spooky laughs.
You must be talking about Halloween.
Halloween, All Hallows Eve, the pumpkin celebration, the candy corn treat festival.
Nope, you lost me there. You lost me on that one.
Pumpkin peanut butter treats.
Good, you did a tight turnaround and I'm with you again.
I'm relieved I got you back.
I shall continue the podcast.
Thank you so much. Isn't it great this time of year to kind of lean into those spooky celebrations, those creepy feelies, those cringly, tingly, scary moments?
You should really write a children's book with all of these amazing descriptors.
And so I shall. But yes, this is the time of year when we celebrate all things spooky.
All things spooky. It's where we live, really, Adam. This is where we survive is Halloween time.
It's true. The gays love Halloween.
They do. They do. The Hollow Queens.
The Hollow Queens are out there. There won't be as many celebrations this year, but we thought, how can we celebrate Halloween on the podcast? And then the answer was obvious. Just like that, just like a snap of the fingers, we realized we need to celebrate Halloween by also celebrating one of Disney's most iconic attractions. That's right, we're returning to the Haunted Mansion and celebrating some of the Disney legends who have associations with that very classic, very iconic theme park ride.
It's almost a deja vu episode, Adam, as we did this 1 year ago.
That's right, it's a deja vu.
A deja vu.
Way back in episode 59, Patrick, we celebrated some Disney legends who worked on the Haunted Mansion.
It's true. Some amazing Disney legends.
And for this go-around, we're going to be talking about 2 Disney legends who are connected to the Haunted Mansion. And on top of that, we're going to be adding on a special treat. We're also going to be introducing 2 performers who we believe should be recognized as Disney legends who are also associated with the Haunted Mansion.
That's right. We may include this going forward. Who can say if it's successful or not? But we talked about this the last time we did Legends, that we need to start talking about people who should be legends who have not been inducted, and we don't know why.
So listen up, Disney. We've got some recs for you.
We have some recos for your geckos. I don't know, is that a good rhyme?
That classic saying, recos for your geckos.
That's right. That's the one. That's the one.
So, Patrick, without further ado, let's head into On the DL. And let's start by talking about the 2 individuals we have that are currently recognized as Disney legends.
Let's do just that. So we are revealing our picks for Disney legends who have some influence with the Haunted Mansion. So, Adam, would you be so kind as to introduce us to your Disney legend?
It would be my honor, Patrick. And I'm going to start with a gay Disney legend, Patrick.
Ooh.
A homosexual Disney legend.
Is it me?
Not yet. You'll get there one day, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to be talking about Mr. Bob Gurr.
Oh, Gurr.
Oh, Gurr. Bob was inducted in 2004 in the Imagineering Legends Award category. For nearly 40 years, Imagineer Bob Gurr has helped transport Disney parks guests through various lands and attractions. As he's often stated, Patrick, quote, "If it moves on wheels at Disneyland, I probably designed it."
Oh, Bob. Oh, Bob.
And he's right, because Bob has developed more than 100 designs for attractions ranging from Autopia and Matterhorn bobsleds to the Disneyland and Walt Disney World monorails and more. Patrick, the guy has his fingerprints all over transportation in the Disney parks.
Someone better wipe down those fingerprints.
These days, Patrick, absolutely. Keep them clean.
Sanitize, sanitize, sanitize.
Robert Henry Gurr was born in Los Angeles on October 25th, 1931. As a boy, Bobby, was fascinated with tools, mechanical devices, and cars. He would crawl through a hole in the fence of nearby Grand Central Air Terminal in Glendale to sneak into the cockpits of idle transport airplanes. And rather than focusing on his studies in school, he would decorate his test papers with sketches of automobiles. Bob attended the Art Center College of Design in Los Angeles on a General Motors scholarship, where he studied industrial design. He graduated in 1952 and was immediately hired by Ford Motor Company. But Bob wanted to focus on his own designs, so he purchased a rubber stamp marked R.H. Gurr Industrial Design and went into business for himself, Patrick.
Entrepreneur.
That's right. Soon after, WED Enterprises, which we know today as Walt Disney Imagineering, hired Bob to consult on the design of miniature cars for Autopia. Walt Disney was so impressed with Bob's knowledge and skill that he invited him to join the Imagineering family, which then was solely dedicated to the design and construction of Disneyland. Over the next 4 decades, Patrick, Bob worked transportation magic, developing the fabled Flying Saucers attraction in Tomorrowland, the antique cars and double-decker buses of Main Street USA, and Ford Motor Company's Magic Skyway, which premiered at the 1964-1965 New York World's Fair, which, Patrick, utilized the People Mover ride system, the precursor to the Omni Mover ride system. Bob was instrumental in developing the People Mover system, which featured continuously moving ride vehicles, but he and his fellow Imagineers plussed it for the development of Adventure Through Inner Space, a Disneyland attraction that opened in 1967, by giving each ride vehicle the ability to swivel 360 degrees so that riders would see only what the ride designers intended them to see, thereby creating the Omnimover ride system, Patrick.
I see where this is going.
That's right. You've looked into your crystal ball and you've seen the Omnimover. And the Omnimover appears most notably in the Haunted Mansion's ride vehicles, which, Patrick, are called what?
Doom buggies.
That's right. They're called Doom Buggies. Guests also experience the Omnimover ride system on attractions like Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters and Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin and The Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure. It's so incredible that something that Bob Gurr touched has been utilized now through so many attractions.
For sure. And soon to be the new Guardians of the Galaxy ride, right? Sort of an iteration of this invention.
That's right. While the ride track itself is not being developed by Disney, the ride track's great-great-great-great-grandfather was the Omnimover.
Exactly.
As I mentioned, Bob is responsible for designing most, if not all, of the ride vehicles for many early Disneyland attractions, which Disney history fans and motor enthusiasts often refer to as Gurr-mobiles.
I love that.
Bob also helped design the mechanical workings of Disney's first audio animatronics human figure, Abraham Lincoln, featured in Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. So as I mentioned at the top of the segment, Patrick, Bob is one of the fam, and he was not out of the closet while he worked at Disney, but many of his coworkers either knew or suspected his orientation. And it turns out that Walt Disney simply did not care. In a 2014 Gay Days Anaheim event, Bob stated, quote, "In the middle of that working at Disney Studios, everybody was so focused on getting what Walt wanted done, nobody was interested in anybody else's sexual orientation. They just weren't. Walt certainly was never interested. The only time he was concerned was if a guy came back from lunch after 3 martinis and they weren't doing too well on a storyboard, then he would say something, but other than that, he was just not interested."
But was he interested?
I'm getting the impression that he wasn't interested.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Noted.
In 1981, Bob retired early from Imagineering to launch Gurr Design Incorporated, and 3 years later joined creative forces with 2 former Imagineers to form Sequoia Creative Incorporated. The firm, which specialized in, quote, leisure time spectaculars and, quote, fantastical beasts, developed King Kong and Conan's Serpent for Universal Studios Hollywood. Among his other mechanical feats, Bob was instrumental in creating the mysterious UFO that soared over the closing ceremonies of the 1984 Los Angeles Summer Olympics. He also consulted on the animated T-Rex figure featured in Steven Spielberg's motion picture Jurassic Park. Bob continues to consult on Disney projects, including the giant Ursula creature featured at Tokyo Disney Sea. In 1999, he was honored with the Themed Entertainment Association's Lifetime Achievement Award. In a March 2008 presentation, Gurr was honored with a window on Main Street, USA. The window, seen above the Disney clothiers on Main Street, reads, "Leading the race to the future, Meteor Cycle Company. Our vehicles pass the test of time, fast, faultless, and fadless. Bob Gurr, Design Impresario." In 2012, Bob released his memoir, Design Just for Fun, and Bob continues to make mechanical magic while living his favorite philosophy. In the words of Malcolm Forbes, Patrick, "While alive, live."
Ooh, I like that.
Bob Gurr is such an inspiration to all of us. He has boundless energy. He has such a creative mind. And to this day, he is still inspiring Imagineers and Disney enthusiasts with his creativity and passion for Disney culture.
Disney legend indeed.
And he's featured quite a bit in the Imagineering story on Disney+. So I encourage you to check that out when you have a chance to see Bob Gurr in action. He takes you up inside the Matterhorn.
I've been there before. You know what I mean?
Different experience for you. It wasn't actually the attraction in Disneyland. It was more of a euphemism, but yes.
Yeah, it was more of a manor horn.
Okay. I applaud the effort, Patrick.
There was no effort in that, Adam. There was zero effort.
You know, Patrick, when I was researching Bob, I was really curious. I really wanted to know more about his personal life because there just wasn't a lot there. But there isn't a lot out there. It's just really fascinating to me that he had such an influence and such a profound impact on the Disney parks. And I didn't even know he was gay.
Which I'm sure is the case for many people who worked in the Disney community. And just at that time, it wasn't something that you revealed about yourself.
Absolutely. I'm so glad now that we know that and that he's so upfront about it so that we can recognize and really celebrate his life and his contributions as a gay man in Disney history.
Well, Bob, if you're listening, we want you on the show.
We do, Patrick. I have a plan to reach out to him.
A man with a plan.
So that is the incredible, the incomparable Bob Gurr.
Well done. Very inspiring. Thank you for all of your gifts, Bob Gurr.
Which means, Patrick, we need to hear all about the Disney legend that you selected.
Well, my Disney legend, Adam, doesn't have quite of a close connection to the Haunted Mansion as yours does. It's a little bit of a loose interpretation on the theme.
Yeah, but if you squint, if you look really hard, you can find it there. You find it.
To be fair, I did not know the theme was going to be the Haunted Mansion, but turns out all of our 4 people we're talking about today do have a connection to the Haunted Mansion, albeit some are smaller than others.
That's right.
Just like me. Just like me. So my Disney legend I'm talking about today, Adam, is one Danny Elfman, who was inducted in 2015 under the categories of film and music. So Danny Elfman was born on May 29th, 1953 in Los Angeles, California. Both of his parents were teachers, and as a kid, he was obsessed with movies, specifically sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, which makes total sense today. And at a young age, he was drawn to film scores, and he was able to identify composers just by hearing their music in a movie. Oddly, though, in school, he got high marks in science, but had no interest in music class. And in fact, he was rejected from his elementary school orchestra for having, quote, having no propensity for music, end quote. What on earth?
Isn't that amazing? But it really is telling because you can hear the science in his music, can't you?
No, you cannot, Adam. What?
I just mean in the sense that, like, the themes and the movies that he often composes for, like I'm thinking Mars Attacks, I'm thinking movies like Batman, there's like always these science elements behind them.
Gotcha. So it wasn't until high school that he would meet a group of friends that got him into music, specifically jazz, and eventually Russian composer Igor Stravinsky. Now, if you haven't listened to Stravinsky's music, I encourage you all right now to look him up and give his work a listen. You will absolutely hear the influence from him to Danny Elfman. It's pretty incredible.
You can also hear his music featured in Disney's Fantasia.
That's right. I believe he is responsible for the Rite of Spring segment. So after high school, Elfman traveled with his brother Richard to France, where he played the violin with Jerome Savary's Les Grandes Magic Circus. After that, he went on a 10-month tour of Africa, busking his way across the continent and collecting instruments. When he returned to California, he unofficially studied Indonesian music at Cal Arts, where an instructor asked him to sit in on classes and play with them. In the early 70s, Danny was asked by his brother to join his band, the Mystic Knights of Oingo Boingo, which at the time was more of a street theater performance group. With the group, Elfman adapted and arranged music, mostly jazz and big band music. The group had 15 performers, and they would swap in and out over 30 different instruments. They also created instruments using unconventional materials like beer cans. So if you picture Bert in Mary Poppins with his one-man junkyard orchestra, that is exactly what he was doing. And in 1979, his brother Richard left the band and Danny took over. The group was pared down to 8 members, and they shortened the name to Oingo Boingo. They began touring as more of a ska and new wave band. Their most famous song, some Tweedledees might recognize, was Weird Science from the movie of the same name. And in 1985, Elfman broke into film scoring when Tim Burton and Paul Rubens asked him to write the score for Pee-wee's Big Adventure. The score was something so new and unique to Hollywood that people took notice immediately, and this started a very long-lasting relationship with Tim Burton. In 1989, the two worked together on Batman, Edward Scissorhands in 1990, Batman Returns in 1992, and of course The Nightmare Before Christmas in 1993, where Elfman also sang the part of Jack Skellington. They also worked together on Sleepy Hollow in 1999 and Big Fish in 2003 and The Corpse Bride in 2005, along with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and then on Alice in Wonderland in 2010. Of course, he's worked with many other amazing directors like Gus Van Sant and Sam Raimi. To date, he has scored over 100 movies and a few TV series, including the theme song for The Simpsons and Desperate Housewives. For Disney, Elfman wrote the music for Flubber, Meet the Robinsons, Frankenweenie, Oz the Great and Powerful, and he composed the music for the Tokyo version of The Haunted Mansion, Mystic Manor. Elfman had, or I guess has, an affinity for the Haunted Mansion and Halloween in general. A quote from him, "Halloween was always my favorite night of the year, and Christmas was the saddest. I was raised Jewish in a secular family. We didn't celebrate anything, so in my mind, all my friends were singing Christmas carols in a warm, happy environment, while I was stuck in this depression. Black clouds gathered. I was cast out. Halloween was the opposite. It was the night to become something else," which makes total sense. You can totally see that influence coming through on The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Absolutely, yes.
So, Danny Elfman has a Grammy for Best Instrumental Composition for Batman, an Emmy for his composition for Desperate Housewives, a Satellite Award for Best Original Score for Sleepy Hollow, among many, many other awards, including 25 BMI Film and Television Awards, 6 Saturn Awards, and 1 Annie. He was also nominated for an Oscar 4 times, twice in the same year for Good Will Hunting and Men in Black in 1997, and once in 2007 for Big Fish, and once in 2008 for Milk. So Danny Elfman, composer extraordinaire, Halloween junkie, you might say, total fit, I think, for a Halloween theme, but also he composed the music for Mystic Manor, and of course his music from The Nightmare Before Christmas can be heard in the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay of the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland.
There's a really fun video of him online where he just, for the very first time, got to ride the Haunted Mansion with the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. And it's so interesting to think about being completely removed from creating that experience, but then also having touched that experience. It must have been a thrill for him to kind of just sit back and be like, I had a part in this, but I didn't necessarily work on specifically this attraction.
Sure, exactly. It's impossible to remove his music from that movie and not, you know what I mean? Like, one just goes with the other. The music is so specific and iconic for that movie. It really, I think, made that movie what it is.
And that's true for a lot of the movies that he scored, right? Like, his music is so specific. And when you hear it, you can't help but think this is absolutely Danny Elfman. You know, I know that phrase, it's practically a character in the movie itself, is overused, but it's true. His music stands out so much that it becomes a whole element, a whole kind of standalone character of the film.
Right. He is so famous for using unconventional instruments that you wouldn't think would go together in a composition, and that just makes these orchestrations so sweeping and haunting and whimsical at the same time.
I had an album of his that I wore out. Absolutely wore out in high school. It was called Music for a Darkened Theater, Film and TV, and it was kind of a retrospective of his career. And it included music from Oingo Boingo, as well as music from several of his films and TV shows. And I was obsessed with that album. He is such a unique talent when it comes to composition.
Absolutely. I'm hoping beyond hopes that someday somebody puts together a musical based on his life and his works.
Oh my gosh, Patrick, that's a great idea.
Wouldn't that be so amazing? I can see something like that doing well on Broadway, but doing very well in like a Vegas location.
You got to trademark that, Patrick. You got to make it happen. You are the creator of Elfman in Vegas.
Elfman, exclamation point.
What a career. Amazing.
And he's not done yet. I'm sure there is much more to be heard from Danny Elfman.
More on the horizon for him. And on our horizons, Patrick, we now turn to those individuals that we are nominating. Yes, Disney, we are nominating as people you should consider recognizing as Disney legends.
I'll do you one more, Adam. I'm going to go ahead and say that these are GDTD Disney legends, whether or not Disney recognizes them as legends, I feel like we can both overwhelmingly say that these two are legends in their own right.
Fantastic. You do not receive any kind of statue or trophy, but just know in your heart that you are a GDTD legend.
That's right. They're going to wake up tomorrow knowing something has changed in the world, and it is their GDTD legend status.
Well, yours might. Mine, unfortunately, is dead.
If she wakes up tomorrow, that'll be a whole different story to tell.
It is the spooky season.
It's true. It's true. Speaking of which, Adam, let's jump in with your GDTD legend.
My GDTD legend is the one, the only. We've talked about her on the podcast so many times before, and I can't believe she's not a Disney legend yet. I'm talking about Eleanor Audley.
Yeah, when you put this in the show notes, I have to admit, I went back and was like, Adam, no, she's a legend. You can't do her. She's already a legend. No, she's not. What on earth?
It shocked me, Patrick. I went back to the Disney Legends list several times just to ensure that she was not, in fact, a Disney legend.
It makes me think, did she do something? Like this? Did she burn down someone's house, or what happened there?
Well, I have to confess, there's very little that's known about her life, so could be. I mean, she could have a very dark past.
Fair. That's fair.
So I am nominating Eleanor Audley for the Legends Award category Voice. And what a voice she had. While many may not recognize Eleanor Audley by appearance, they certainly will recognize her distinctive voice. Eleanor is best known for originating the voices of two iconic Disney film villains and one otherworldly character you encounter every time you visit the Haunted Mansion, but more on that later. Eleanor Audley was born Eleanor Zellman on November 19th, 1905 in Newark, New Jersey. She was the daughter of Yiddish-speaking immigrants. Her father was born in Borky, Russia, now known as the Ukraine, and her mother was born in Prussia. Eleanor's family moved to New York City early in her life, and she eventually attended Hunter College High School in Manhattan in 1924. She made her acting debut at age 20 in the 1926 Broadway production of Howdy King.
Howdy King indeed.
Howdy King. She appeared in numerous stage productions and worked exclusively in radio during the 40s and 50s. In a bit of foreshadowing, Patrick, she played the stepmother in reimaginings of the Cinderella story in episodes of the radio series Hallmark Playhouse.
Ooh, that is foreshadowing.
She was destined the entire time. She also appeared on the weekly Western series The Six Shooter, which starred Jimmy Stewart. Audley's film career began in 1949 with The Story of Molly X. Other appearances include 1955's All That Heaven Allows, 1956's Full of Life, 1961's The Pleasure of His Company, ooh, it sounds scandalous, and 1969's Hook, Line, and Sinker. But her contributions to Disney cinematic and entertainment history are most notable. Eleanor provided the voice for Lady Tremaine, Cinderella's evil stepmother, in the 1950 Disney film Cinderella, and of course, she provided the voice for Maleficent in Disney's 1959 animated classic, Sleeping Beauty. For both Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, animators Frank Thomas and Mark Davis used Audley as a live-action reference model, and there's some really great pictures of her portraying both characters online. So when you have a moment, Tweedles, check those out. An interesting fact, Audley had initially turned down the role of Maleficent because she was battling tuberculosis at the time.
Oh, dear.
No big deal, just a little TB.
Was she in Moulin Rouge at the time? What was going on there?
She is a sparkling diamond. In 1969, Audley provided the voice of Madame Leota, the psychic medium in the Haunted Mansion. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, if you want to go back and check out episode 59, we talk about Disney legend Leota Toombs Thomas, who served as the face. She served face, I should say, as Madame Leota.
Serving Luke's.
From 1954 to 1970, Audley appeared regularly on television, including episodes of I Love Lucy, Perry Mason, The Twilight Zone, The Dick Van Dyke Show, The Beverly Hillbillies, Mr. Ed, and My Three Sons. She also played a recurring character on the sitcom Green Acres from 1965 to 1969, portraying Oliver Douglas's disapproving mother, despite being only 5 months older than actor Eddie Albert, who played her son.
Yeah, I distinctly remember her from all of those TV shows. I was a Nick at Night junkie, and she was on almost everything. You could watch like the whole lineup that night, and she would be on almost every single TV show.
Her career permeates radio, television, theater. Like, she had an incredible run, and you look at all of her credits, and it's just like year after year after year. There was no break whatsoever.
Yeah, she's got that very distinct and specific posture and way of carrying herself, and her voice, of course, and that carried over from genre to genre.
Yep, she was the kind of haughty, overbearing stepmother, mother-in-law, mother. She had that character actor role nailed down.
She was kind of the Elaine Stritch of her day.
She stretched it out, yeah.
A stritch in time.
She was a stretch in time, yes. As prolific as she was, Patrick, her long career ended prematurely in the 1970s due to increasingly poor health, and she lived in retirement until her death in 1991 at the age of 86. So an incredible career, as I mentioned, just nonstop working until her ailments kind of forced her to take a step back and pull herself out of the business.
Again, I can't fathom why she is not a Disney legend.
I know. Who did she kill? What did she do?
Something absolutely had to have happened for her to just be removed from consideration for legend status.
Yeah, I don't know what she did. She did something, but she absolutely deserves to be a Disney legend. Lady Tremaine and Maleficent are two of the most iconic Disney characters, and just characters in general. When you think of all of entertainment, those two villains are it, Patrick. They have it.
Yeah, they really are the queens of the villains.
And played by the same lady, the same very, very talented Eleanor Audley.
Well, Eleanor, you are now a GDTD legend.
I'm sure she's thrilled.
I mean, of all of the recognition that she's received in her life, this really is a cut above the rest, I must say.
Some might call it a highlight, yes.
Some might call it a what? Who are they again?
Well, Patrick, that takes us to your nominee for GDTD Legend status. Who are you bringing to the table?
Well, I'll preface this, Adam, with my GDTD legend, though he was involved with the movie The Haunted Mansion. This is not in any way, shape, or form why I am submitting him to legend status.
I still haven't seen it. I don't know if I should watch it.
It's actually not a terrible movie, but it does not deliver a legendary status performance. However, you will see why he should be a Disney legend in just a moment. I am talking about comedic actor, legend, star, megastar, Eddie Murphy.
Edward Murphy.
Edward Murphy, born on April 3rd, 1961, in Brooklyn, New York, and raised in Bushwick. His mother, Lillian, and his father, Charles, split up when Eddie was 3 years old, and sadly, his father passed away when he was 8. Soon thereafter, his mother became very ill, and he and his brother spent a year in foster care, where he has said in interviews that this is sort of where he got his comedic grit, because he was faced with such tragedy as a child that he was forced to use comedy as a way to sort of cope. So she, thank goodness, recovered, and they were returned to her care about a year after they went into foster care. At age 15, Murphy heard his very first Richard Pryor album, which immediately got him interested in comedy. He was drawn to comedians and actors who could play multiple characters, like his hero at the time, British comedian and actor Peter Sellers. On July 9th, 1976, Murphy did an impersonation of Al Green at a youth center talent show. He was hooked on performing from that moment on. And as a teenager, he would sneak out and take the train to take jobs in the city at night. And he started skipping school until his mom found out and she sent him to summer school. He continued to hone his craft as a stand-up comedian, and in 1980, at just 19 years old, he joined the cast of Saturday Night Live, where he immediately became a breakout star and is credited for helping to revitalize the show. One of the most famous characters was the grown-up version of the Little Rascals character, Buckwheat. The character became so popular that he started getting annoyed at people demanding that he do it. So he staged an on-air assassination of the character in front of 30 Rockefeller Plaza. Absolutely hilarious. In 2015, Rolling Stones ranked all 141 SNL cast members at the time, and Eddie Murphy was ranked number 2, just behind John Belushi. So he really was an icon, and is an icon in Saturday Night Live history.
You know, when you look back at Saturday Night Live in those early days, it's so telling that he stands out among all of that talent, and there was incredible talent on the show, and yet he still stood out and kind of was highlighted when really you could have highlighted any one of those amazing people. He really stood out.
Yeah, it was really a who's who of top comedians at the time, and he was by far the most popular person on the show at the time. So during his time on SNL, he was still very involved in stand-up and started dipping his toes in the movies. He released his first stand-up album, Eddie Murphy, in 1982, and in 1987, he filmed his show, Eddie Murphy Raw, which was released in theaters and grossed $50 million, which was extraordinary at the time for a stand-up comedy movie. Also, in 1982, he made his film debut in 48 Hours with Nick Nolte. He quickly became an overnight movie sensation, and he was a must-have for both comedies and action movies. He went on to star in Trading Places, Coming to America, The Golden Child, and Beverly Hills Cop, which earned $230 million at the box office in 1984, which became the highest-grossing comedy when it was released. At the end of 1989, Eddie Murphy was the biggest box office star in Hollywood. So, of course, one of his most famous roles is Donkey in the Shrek franchise, which many believe came to be because of his amazing performance as Mushu in Disney's Mulan, which, for my money, is one of the best comedic vocal performances in a Disney movie, rivaled by Robin Williams as the genie, which, fun fact, almost went to Eddie Murphy.
So funny. And we kind of talked about it, you know, in our take 2 of the animated version of Mulan, that the character of Mushu kind of owes a lot to the character of the genie. It kind of gave Disney permission to introduce these characters that were out of place and out of time and making references to things that didn't really fit, but were just so funny.
Right, and one of Eddie Murphy's influences was Robin Williams, so you can totally see the line from one character to the next. So also for Disney, and keeping with the Halloween theme, as I mentioned before, Murphy starred in the live-action movie The Haunted Mansion, which is a bit of a horror story in itself for Disney live-action movies. It did not do well in the theaters. It only grossed about $75 million. But I'll tell you what, I think it's kind of cute and definitely worth a watch this Halloween season if you are so inclined to do so.
I may do it, Patrick. I'm undecided.
Perhaps we should do a Take One for You episode and watch that movie. So it should still be noted that Murphy also tried his hand at a singing career, some of you may remember, which was an interesting time in his life. Most notably, he recorded a song called Party All the Time in the 80s, which frequents many worst song lists. However, he is actually a pretty great singer, as seen and heard in the 2006 movie Dreamgirls, for which he won the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor for the role of Jimmy Early. He also won a Screen Actors Guild Award for the same category, and he was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Murphy is also a bit of a philanthropist, frequently raising money and donating to the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, as well as various cancer research organizations and creative arts and education efforts. He is currently in post-production for the sequel to Coming to America.
I'm very eager to see what they're going to do with that. Coming to America was a staple of my childhood, probably inappropriately so, but I grew up on that movie.
It is such such a funny movie. It is so great and has an interesting sort of political point of view as well, and racial point of view as well. It's a really well done movie. So I'm interested to see what they're doing with the sequel to it for sure.
This is a great suggestion for Disney legend status, Patrick, and I'm sure he's quite honored, since he has not yet been recognized as a Disney legend, to receive the GDTD Legend Award.
Yes, I'm sure he's very honored. But here's what I'll say. I think, as we keep saying, it's important that we start recognizing people of color in Disney legend status. They need to be more recognized, and there simply aren't enough artists of color who are doing voiceover work for Disney, more so now, but back then there were barely any, and Eddie was on a very short list at the time of Black actors who were asked to do voiceover work for Disney, and he did such an amazing job. It really makes me sad that he hasn't been more recognized for that role.
I feel like they're going to recognize him very soon. Doesn't it feel like they would? They love recognizing legends who are still alive and still have a presence in Hollywood. So I feel like it's time.
Fair. Yeah. He hasn't done, as you will listen back and recall, a lot for Disney. Mushu was basically the biggest role that he did, but it is such a big role and it was such a funny character. And there are legends out there who have done less, I think. So it's time, I feel.
Absolutely. There are legends out there who have voiced one character in one movie, and that's it. So you're right. It's time. Disney, Eddie Murphy, he's primed for it now that he's received the GDTD Legend Award.
Right. We've greased the wheels.
And with that, Patrick, we reach the end of this episode's feature segment on the DL.
We have indeed. This, once again, has been one of my favorite episodes to do. I love doing Disney Legend episodes, and I'm kind of obsessed now with us including our own legends to the list because there are so many people who have been passed over that need to be recognized.
I agree. So many people associated with the Disney company, either in front of the camera or behind it, and we want to be able to tell their stories and honor them for the work that they've done for Disney as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Tweedledees out there, if you have people that have not yet been named Disney Legend and may never become a Disney Legend that you think ought to be recognized, please send those names our way. And if you have a theme in mind for Disney Legends, let us know that as well. Adam, tell them how they can do that.
You can reach out to us on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast.
Or you can leave us a voice memo or email at info@gazedothed.com.
Yeah, the themes, Patrick. Tweedles, we love tying these legends together with a theme. So if you happen to have one of those, send it our way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Otherwise, we're just going to do the theme of human beings. You know, are they alive or are they not alive? Maybe we'll do that. Are they alive still?
These people continue to breathe.
There you go. What a theme. What a great theme. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Patrick.
It is time, Adam. It is time once again for some quick D.
Wow.
Did you like that?
I loved it.
It was like a Christina Aguilera homage to Quick D.
And I love that you tied it to a Disney connection, Christina Aguilera.
Who is also tied to Mulan, along with my GDTD legend, Eddie Murphy.
That's correct. And speaking of Disney legends, Christina Aguilera is one.
I mean, okay. Good for her. Good for her. You go, Glen Coco. But Adam, as I said, it is once again time for Quick D. For those of you who don't know, Quick D is when Adam and I ask each other a question we have not been privy to prior to recording and answer off the pants. Is that the saying, off the pants?
I don't believe that's the saying.
Okay, it is now. We answer it off the pants and things get wild. Adam, are you ready for your off the pants question and answer?
I'm more than ready for my off-the-pants question and answer.
Well, good, because here we go. Adam, we've just been talking about Disney legends and people who ought to be Disney legends. However, Adam, I believe there are some people out there who should never be a Disney legend. Adam, Can you list a few of those people and why they will never be a Disney or a GDTD legend?
I certainly can, Patrick. My first nominee for someone who should never be a Disney legend is the guy who camped on Discovery Island and was arrested for camping on Discovery Island.
He's legendary in his own special way.
That's right. That's right. I'd also like to nominate Lisa Whelchel or Blair from The Facts of Life for her appearance in The Musketeers Go to Walt Disney World.
How very dare she? How very dare she?
Was it a great performance? Yes, it was. Was it a legendary performance? I'm sorry, Lisa, it was not.
She knows what she did. She pushed those kids in the water at him. That is not legendary behavior.
This one's for all my Disney history buffs out there. Don Bluth will probably never be a Disney legend.
Doesn't seem likely. Doesn't seem very likely.
He walked out of that studio and was like, later, suckers.
Bluth, you.
Bluth, you. And lastly, Patrick, my last nominee.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever, ever should this person receive Disney legendary status. It's me.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You know what? I agree.
It's good to know who you are. And I think I have a pretty good sense of who I am. And I am not meant to be a Disney legend.
This is fair. This is a very fair statement. And I think resoundingly accurate for all of our Tweedledees listening at home.
Maybe if legendary status was based on how much fudge you eat. Maybe if legendary status was based on how many minutes you spend enjoying a cocktail at Abracadabar, then maybe, yes. But I don't believe any of those accomplishments are what you'd associate with a Disney legend.
May I submit for your consideration, Adam, your performance going on Rock and Roller Coaster for the very first time was legendary.
Okay, I feel like I'm back in the game. Disney, call me. I am ready to be a legend.
What an achievement. What an achievement that was.
One of the best days of my life, Patrick.
And mine. The screams were amazing.
All right, Patrick, here is my question for you. Patrick, it's very simple. It's that time of year. It's the time when you need to decide what you're going to be for Halloween. Now, when we were kids, this was a big deal. Like, back in January, February, you were like, I already know what I'm going to be for Halloween. But using this year, give me some ideas of what you might consider going as for Halloween.
I'm going as Adam Hummel for Halloween.
What?
Yeah. I am going to get my very best stilts out for height.
Makes sense. I'm taller than you, yes.
I've got my little Orphan Annie wig all ready.
Okay.
It's not going on my head, though. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Interesting choice.
And I have my second little Orphan Annie wig for my head.
Okay, you have very little faith in my manscaping abilities, apparently.
I do have very little faith in many abilities of yours. I'm also going to only wear a black sweatshirt, Adam, as you are wont to do.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah.
I have a stuffed penny that I am going to only pay attention to, even though I have people over at my house. This is just really a roast of Adam Hummel.
I'm for it. That also feels very accurate. Yes, Penny deserves all of the attention.
I am going to wear the finest of colognes because I'll tell you what, Adam Hummel always has a good cologne on. That is a fact.
Well, thank you so much.
That is a fact, and that is the only redeeming quality that I can find of one Adam Hummel.
If you had met me in high school, that probably wouldn't have been a redeeming quality because it was cool water every day, every day.
Listen,
Patrick,
you know what's popular and you go with it. I appreciate that.
Do you want to smell like you just took 20 showers in a row? Try cool water.
Are you trying to cover up the smell of packs and packs of cigarettes? Cool water.
Do you love the intensity of one of those gas station car air fresheners? Cool water. Give it a shot.
I like it. I like this. And last but not least, on my black sweatshirt, I think it'll have the slogan, "It's not that I don't care, I just don't like you." I feel like that is the essence of Adam Hummel.
Yes. Now, never would I ever say that to someone's face, Patrick, but I like that you've attached it to an item of clothing so that I don't have to say it to someone's face. That is a very smart idea. Not only should it be a part of your costume, but I will apply it to my life going forward.
Fair enough. Have I captured the correct costume for Adam Hummel?
Yeah, you nailed it. I would recommend getting one of those Nutty Professor fat suits.
Okay. I was going to say, I'm also, in true Adam form, I'm going to leave the party right around 6:30 to get a nice night's sleep.
Well, that's just sensible, Patrick. If you're in bed by 7, you're going to have a great next day.
Exactly. And that's all there is to it. Adam Hummel, asleep by 7.
That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast, and submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.